Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexey, and today what we're gonna be doing is taking a look at Hertz drums. So first of all, let's have a listen how Hertz drums sound. Hertz drums is a very powerful plugin where you can create your own rock and metal drums. So let's take a look at the interface of Hertz drums plugin. Here we have three our main menus: mixer, sampler, and grooves. In mixer menu we have our mixer, and here we have all of our drums: kick left, kick right, snare, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, floor tom 1, floor tom 2, hi-hat, right, crash 1, crash 2, crash 3, splash 1, splash 2, splash 3, China 1, China 2, tambourine, and also we have groups for our drums. We have a group for our kicks, snare, toms, hi-hat, right, cymbals, and misc. And here we have controls for our reverb, room, and overheads. Here we can switch between our channels from 1 to 10, from 11 to 20, and we can switch between our groups. Also, we can solo our drums. For instance, let's solo our kick right. We can mute our drums, we can pan our drums. By using a fader on our kick right channel, we can make our kick right sound louder or quieter. Let's go to our library sampler menu. So here we have our sampler. So in this case, if you want to replace original sound of Hertz drums, and if you want to use your own samples, you can do it here. So for instance, again, let's choose our kick right. And let's choose sampler for our kick right. Here we have up to 8 articulations. And for our kick, we can choose up to 6 dynamic groups. In this case, if you want to use your own samples, for instance, let's choose dynamic group 2 for our kick. And here we can see that our groups are divided into groups. For our first sample, we have group 1 and velocity levels from 1 to 93. And for our second sample, we have group 2 and velocity levels from 94 to 127. Let's choose some samples for our right kick. For our first group, let's choose kick dry sample. And for our second group, let's choose blend sample. Now let's open our MIDI file. Here we have our kick right. And if we're gonna be changing velocity level for our kick right, we're gonna be hearing different samples for our kick right. For instance, when we use our velocity level for our kick right around 50%, we can hear our kick dry from Jens Bogren sample pack. And if we're going to be making our velocity level louder, so right now we're hearing kick blend sample from Jens Bogren drums pack. In this case, you can use Hertz drums sampler to use your own drums samples in Hertz drums. If you want to clear samples from Hertz drums, you should click here. Also, you can load up to 4 samples for one group. Let's load 4 different samples for our group 1. And now we have +4 sign here, which means that our group 1 has 4 samples. Let's load 4 samples for our group 2. Now we have 4 different drums samples for our group 1, and we have 4 different drum samples for our group 2. Now let's open our MIDI file. Here we have our kick. Right now, when I will be moving our velocity level for our kick right, you can hear up to 4 different samples for our first group, which is velocity levels from 1 to 93, and you can hear 4 different drum samples for our second group, which is velocity levels from 94 to 127. Again, you can use your own drum samples for Hertz drums. Now let's take a look at our groups menu. Here we have our groups menu, which is divided by styles, signatures, and tempo. In our styles menu we have funk, new metal, rock, Node 4/4, and DeRay grooves pack, and DeRay is a drummer for Dimmu Borgir. Then we have our intros, ends, beats, and fills. So here we can create our own grooves and our own drum patterns. For instance, let me remove our MIDI file. Now we can create our own drums groove by using intros, beats, fills, and ends. But first of all, we can listen how our DeRay drum groove sounds. We can listen how our intros sound in our DeRay drum groove. And for instance, if I like second intro from our DeRay drum groove and I want to use it for my MIDI drums, so I should drag and drop our intros to our MIDI file. And right now we have intro from our DeRay drums groove pack. Then we can listen to some beats. Also, we can speed up our playback, and also we can slow down our playback. So, for instance, I like mixed beat, and again I want to use this beat for my MIDI drums. Again, I can drag and drop our MIDI file from beats to our MIDI drums. Then for our MIDI drums I want to use some fills, And here we can choose from fills snare, fills toms, fills snare and toms, and fills mixed. Again, let's drag and drop our MIDI file to our MIDI drums. And finally, let's have a listen to some ends for our drums groove. And again, let's drag and drop our MIDI file to our MIDI drums. Now let's take a look at our instrument menu. So here we have different sections like mic, ambience, velocity, reverse, and ADSR envelope to shape the sound of our drums. For instance, let's choose our snare. Here we have our snare. First of all, we can make our snare sound louder or quieter by using trim. Then here in our mic section, we can choose between three mics. So we have mic A, mic B, and mic C. Here we can adjust pitch for our snare. Here we can adjust the volume for our direct signal of our snare. Also, here we can flip the phase, and in this case it can be useful if you use any drum samples for Hertz drums. Then we can adjust the volume of our snare in our overheads, so in this case let's solo our overheads group. Then we can adjust volume of our sub for our snare, so in this case we can add some lows or we can add some highs to our snare. And finally we can adjust effects volume for our snare. In this case, we can make our snare sound completely dry, or we can add a lot of room and reverb to our snare. Now let's take a look at our ambience section. And for instance, let's choose our kick left. And here we can control the amount of our room and reverb for our kick left. For instance, if we want to make our kick left sound completely dry, we have to move our circle here. And now let's add some room and reverb to our kick left sound. Also, we can flip phase for our reverb and for our room. Now let's take a look at our velocity section. And here we have volume controls for our soft velocity levels and for our maximum velocity levels. And also we have dynamic control. For instance, if I bring down maximum velocity volume, right now we can hear only soft velocity levels. And the same idea about minimum velocity volume. So right now we can hear only maximum velocity levels in our kick left. And now let's listen to our dynamic velocity volume. Then we have reverse section, and in this case we can reverse any drum sound in our drums kit. For instance, if you want to reverse hi-hat, you should click reverse. And right now we have reversed sound of our hi-hat, and here we can adjust length for our reversed sound. Now let's open our audio routing, and here we can assign our drums to different audio channels in our DAW. For instance, I have created 16 channels for our Hertz drums. Now I want to do some audio routing of our Hertz drums to our individual audio channels, so we can have separate audio channels for our kicks, snare, toms and cymbals. So for instance, let's assign our kick right to second channel. So we have to assign our direct signal of our kick right to second channel. We have to assign sub signal of our kick right to second channel, and we have to assign effects signal of our kick right to our second channel. Now let's assign our snare to third channel. Let's assign our tom 1 to fourth channel. let's assign our thumb to 5th channel. And let's do the following for the rest of our drums. Let's open our mixer in Studio One and let's have a listen. So now you can see and you can hear that we have separate audio channels for our Hertz drums. Now let's open our MIDI routing, and here we can assign any MIDI notes for our drums. So, for instance, if you want to replace a MIDI note for our snare articulation 1, we should reset and choose any MIDI note. And right now we have G2 for our articulation 1 for our snare. Also here we have MIDI mapping, and here you can choose different presets. If you used to work in Addictive Drums, Easy Drummer, Get Good Drums, Groove Agent, Logic Pro X Drummer, Steven Slate Drums 5 and Superior Drummer 3. And finally we have audio and MIDI library packs. So here we can add our audio libraries for Hertz drums by clicking plus sign. And here we have MIDI libraries. Again, you can add MIDI libraries by clicking plus sign here. And after adding our audio libraries and our MIDI packs to our Hertz drums plugin, we can choose them here. So, for instance, here we have some audio and MIDI libraries for our Hertz drums, which are Blue Pack, Fame and Fury Pack, Metal Unlimited Pack, Red Pack, White Pack, and Signature presets. In this case, we have the Ray Drums Groove Pack. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video will be useful for you. If you want to try or buy Hertz drums, all links will be in the info box of this video. And see you next time.